can happen. It can only good happen. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible...
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Blunt Politics Podcast. I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate your patience today as we push back the show a little bit. First and foremost, a big shout out to Hal and the whole Indivisible crew for a great event last night. Flew in last night, flew back in this morning, so it was kind of I'm pretty sure I lost a night of sleep in there somewhere, but it was very worth it. Big shout out to Tom and Victoria for not only their, their generosity, but their hospitality as well. It was incredible to see all of the people out last night and getting to meet some of the people that watch the show and the different people that get to watch different shows. It was really cool to get to speak to different people and get to meet Johnny Million, to see Hal. Again, Hal was killing it on the stage, as well as multiple other comics that did some pretty good work. I think it was filmed, so I'm not sure. I'll have to see if that's going to be downloaded somewhere where you guys could check it out. But it was pretty cool. Thank you to the chat as well. I thank you for again, your patience and pushing back the show today. When you say we bring you guys in, how's everybody doing? What's going on? There you are. What's happening, guys? What's going on in the old the Sunday afternoon edition of the old Blunt Politics Podcast? What's going on, Carol? What's up, Nick? What's up, Yakov? What's up, IA Electrician? What's going on, PB? Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. We're going to be diving into a lot of obviously horrendous shit today. So just right off the bat, want to make sure that everybody knows we're not going to be diving into it too much, right? So we're just going to be kind of breezing over some of the more salacious and egregious things that have been found. Of course, with the 3.5 million documents that have been released, people are going to be sifting through them for a long time. So, we'll just be kind of browsing on what we may have missed over the last couple days. We got a lot to get into that respect and some reaction to it, what people on both the left and the right are saying about this. But yeah, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to the people over at the Indivisible crew as well, because they put on a fantastic event last night. And again, thanks to Tom and Victoria for their hospitality, their generosity, and making sure that everything went smoothly. And again, big shout out to everybody in the chat that was there and came up and said hi and shook hands and took pictures. It was really a cool thing. So I really do appreciate you guys and everything that you've been doing. And it's cool to see that the reach of the channel is growing. It's strange still to me to fly into a foreign land like Chicago and have somebody ask, hey, you Boston Brian? It's just, I don't think I'll ever get used to that. So it's a pretty cool thing. I appreciate you guys. And it was very cool, a very cool show last night. Again, one thing that I'm taking away from last night is, holy shit, is Johnny Million fucking tall. Boy, I didn't see that one coming. I just, for some reason, did not see that one coming. Boy has got some fucking height to him. He said he couldn't, but I highly doubt that man has never been dunking basketballs in his life. But he was a good sport. He was it was a pleasurable experience to meet him in person as it was to kind of listen to his shows and hear him on Hal's show. So big shout out to Hal and Johnny and everybody else that was there last night. I appreciate you guys. All right. So before we get into some of I appreciate you guys already. Let's go. Thank you, Deb. I see you in there. Let's go. Thank you for the gifted membership. Appreciate you. Thank you, JJ. Apparently they ID'd Pretty's Killers. Oh, really? Yeah, there was, again, I was kind of flying in and out of things and, like I said, lost an entire night of sleep somewhere in there. So if it happened within the last 24 hours, you guys will probably have to catch me up on it. I did my best to kind of, fill in the blanks where I could and what we'll be talking about tonight. But you know what I mean? I'm sure there's inevitably some things that have fallen through the cracks. So I appreciate you guys. What do you say we hop into it? Now, like I said, there's going to be a lot of terrible, horrendous, sickening, infuriating things that we'll be discussing and talking about. I just want to make everybody aware. Obviously, I don't know if it's a viewer discretion advised type of night, but again, we're not going to be diving too deeply into the grossness, but more or less just trying to fill everybody in on, again, some of the things that we've already found in this new release. So but before we do that, I want to start off with a couple good stories, right? A couple things that will kind of kick this off in the right way before we dive into what is inevitably going to be some horrendous bullshit. So let me throw this on the screen, because once again, the trend continues for Democrats where they are not only winning in places where they shouldn't really be winning, where they probably haven't won in generations, years, and if they have, definitely not by these margins, right? Well, the trend continues because Democrats surprise win in another MAGA stronghold in Texas this time with another special election. Democrat Taylor Remet, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, and Republican Lee Wamsganasin. That guy is she beat that guy in the that guy she beat him. Lockheed Martin Union lead a Democratic Texas Senate victory in Saturday's MAGA Mad North Texas Republican district means nothing and it means everything. And again, I'm not going into this is by the Fort Worth Telegram Star, more or less was just going for the headline, and this one we have to dive into their Bud Kennedy's reporting because who knows how he's going to try to spin this. But again, it's a good sign. Not only, I believe it was like a plus 17, plus 20 victory. So not only was it a victory, but it was like an ass kicking as well. So that's a good sign. But this is like, continues the trend that we've seen in places like Georgia, Mississippi, right? We saw the election results in California that we wanted. There was places in New Jersey as well, if I'm not mistaken, and other places throughout the country that we've seen this trend of, and Donald Trump, again, tried to downplay this. He had endorsed the candidate. He had posted several times about the Republican candidate that got his ass kicked, right? And then he was questioned by the media on this loss, and he tried to play, I don't know what you're talking about. Nope, I never heard of it, had no involvement. Yeah, sure. So, again, they're trying to downplay this, but they know that this, again, falls in line with the results that we've been seeing from the other special elections and the other, votes that we've kind of seen in the last, month or 2 months, to be more specific. So that's a good thing that we want to start off with, to see this trend continue, to see that the American people, even in these deep red MAGA-held fucking districts, are pissed off at what they're seeing, whether that's, again, the affordability crisis, the lies that they've been told by the Trump administration on bringing the prices of other things down that they haven't seen, whether it's the wars that he's threatening to start, whether it's the military actions that he's already undertaken, whether it's the ICE, debacle that's been going on in this country, whatever it is, the American people in a majority of places are kind of speaking up against it. And if I was the GOP, if I was in leadership, this is something that I would be freaking the frig out about, because, not only is it the trend that the party in power will inevitably lose or do poorly during the midterm elections, but to add this onto it and to see how just how bad they're getting their asses handed to them in these districts is, I think, something that should be setting off alarm bells within the GOP if it hasn't already. So, and then another good piece of news that I wanted to kind of report was this one that Mother Jones was reporting. I believe this came out Saturday. So Liam Ramos, again, in a scathing ruling, a federal judge orders release of Liam Ramos from detention. This was the 5-year-old that was stolen from his father, as his father was clearly rounded up in this ICE campaign that they have going on, when there was not only adults that lived in the home, not only adults that were part of the school system that this child went to, that were willing, able, and saying they could take custody. Again, he was used. His health was deteriorating while he was in custody. He was having trouble keeping food down, a whole list of problems. So it's good to see that this judge's ruling, the federal judge ordered his release. Just another piece of good news. This is Judge Fred Berry said federal agents were, quote, traumatizing children, to get more specific. A federal judge said on Saturday that they ordered the release of 5-year-old Liam Caneo Ramos from an immigration detention facility outside San Antonio. Ramos, in the blue bunny hat in the picture that you can see here with the Spider-Man backpack, who became another symbol of the cruelty of ICE agents, was detained by federal agents earlier this month in a suburban Minneapolis neighborhood. An incident that has drawn immense outrage and scrutiny. Judge Berry of the Federal District Court of the Western District of Texas has ruled that the detention of Ramos and his father, Adrian Caneo Arias, was unconstitutional. They are both asylum seekers. What's BSP? I'm not sure what that means. In a scathing opinion, the judge wrote that the father and son, quote, seek nothing more than some modicum of due process of the rule of law, end quote, adding that the immigration agents were, quote, traumatizing children. The father and son's case, quote, has its genesis in the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children, the judge noted. Barry wrote of the detainment, quote, observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power in the imposition of cruelty in its quest knows no bounds and are bereft of human decency. I mean, the pretty substantial things, again, from, I don't know, the judge's background or how he was appointed or what his, political background looks like. But, a judge in Texas typically isn't the most liberal, even if they are liberal. I mean, if you kind of catch my drift. So to hear such, specific and, emotion evoking rhetoric coming from this judge is really good to see, as he's not just saying, hey, release him because it's this and that. He's actually laying it down pretty well here and saying that it's not only cruel, but you're traumatizing children. It's unconstitutional. So a good thing to see. And again, a little bit of good news where good news is hard to come by. Again, we're going to have to take it where we can get it, unfortunately. So, all right. Unfortunately, that's kind of the end of the good news portion of this evening's broadcast. As I told you, we're going to have to be diving into, obviously, the big news, which was the latest release of the Epstein files, whether it was videos, pictures, emails, victims' testimonies, people calling in to report this or that. It's getting fucking ugly, right? It's even worse than we thought just from what we know so far. Pretty much I think we're all at the point where we don't even have to see anymore. Like we've seen enough, and now we need to know what is the next step. And unfortunately, as we're about to hear, or as we'll hear later in the show from people like Todd Blanche, it doesn't seem like there's a next step. It doesn't seem like there's any, push for accountability, any push for justice, right? And we'll get into Todd Blanche's, a couple clips from Todd Blanche. But to me, it's like, it's not the only thing worse than seeing no accountability and no justice and not having the Epstein files released is seeing no accountability and no justice and having all of the files released, or at least, what we've seen unredacted to this point. God knows what they've redacted and why. We've already heard the stories of this latest release, including victims' names and information, faces, pictures, you name it. They've gone above and beyond to protect the monsters that are named in these files instead of the victims. But what is the fucking next step? Because if there is no next step, this is all for naught. Okay, this is just a big fucking theatrical performance for nothing. And like I said, the only thing more frustrating than not having the information in the files released and not seeing accountability is actually having the files in front of us and still seeing no justice and accountability for these victims. I couldn't think of a more frustrating scenario than looking at these files, looking at the millions and millions and millions of documents spread all throughout the internet on a fucking daily basis with the names, the fucking dates, information, emails, fucking victims reports, court filings, but not ever having that next step of accountability and justice and the people just walking freely among us. That's the most frustrating thing that I could possibly think of happening. And I think that's kind of the road that we're heading down. That's the road that Todd Blanche and the DOJ is bringing us down at this point. Because it doesn't seem like there is a next step. It doesn't seem like there is, any plan going forward to, take the information that's come out and then lead into investigations, have that lead into further investigations, or, where these files that, it looks like the DOJ had enough information, had the evidence, and even wanted to prosecute some people, but for, whatever circumstance, whatever reasoning, didn't end up prosecuting those people. Why would the DOJ consider it, prosecutable back then, have enough evidence, know that they have enough evidence, state that they have enough evidence in court filings, in documents, in memos, in emails, but now all of a sudden it's not enough information? There's just no other actions for the DOJ to seek in this position? Fuck off. You can stick that up your ass, right? I'm not buying it. We're not buying it. That's ridiculous. The fact that your job as the DOJ, the Department of Justice, you're not the Department of Review, right? Your job wasn't to just review the fucking documents. And that's what Todd Blanche is trying to get across is like, we've done our part. Our job is to just, review it and then redact. Like, again, it's the Department of Justice, not the Department of Review these fucking files. and it you know, it's infuriating. It's to a point that, you know, it's getting hard to explain. You know, it's getting hard to put into words just how fucking egregious this cover up is. So, all right, let's dive into again a little bit. And again, if you've been living under a rock or on the moon for the last couple days, you know, this is just a little in-depth kind of, you know, a recap of what's been taking place with the Epstein files lately. And then, of course, we'll be diving into some of the more specific aspects. Again, we're not going to be going over too much of it. I won't, you know, subject you guys to too much of this absolutely horrendous bullshit, but we'll be diving into a few of the Donald Trump you know, emails that have been found so far, a couple on Elon Musk, and then we'll be diving into some of the reaction, right? So again, I don't find it necessary to, you know, just berate you guys and bombard you guys with all of this ridiculously horrendous like details and information. And of course, people have gone through their own traumas in their own life, and who knows what kind of, you know, would trigger that. So again, I'm going to try to do my best to just, you know, give you guys the facts, the information without, you know, making it too much, if you guys kind of catch my drift on that one. So we'll go into, again, the couple from Donald, a couple from Elon, and then we'll be getting into some of the left-wing reaction, some of the right-wing reaction. Looks like, you know, Nate here from Valhalla had a video. The new files release is horrific. And again, I haven't seen any of it. I wanted to kind of dive into it with you guys, but it seems like he's going after Elon Musk right away. We got, you know, like I said, Todd Blanche had a couple moments, and then we have the I've Had It podcast ladies were live not that long ago. So I was kind of curious if they stumbled across any more, you know, salacious or explosive material or information. So maybe we could dive into that in a little bit too. So, all right, let's dive into this CNN clip. And again, this is just a basic recap of what's been taking place. So I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. Please share the show out. You don't have to do it right this second, but maybe after the show, share it out so other people know we were on. But yeah, please check to see if you're subscribed. A lot of people watch the show all the time, but are not subscribed. Don't know why that happens, but it seems to be a theme on a lot of channels. But just at some point, check the old subscribe box, see if you've clicked it. If not, please make sure you click that. If you have, thank you very much. And make sure you hit that like button. All right, let's dive into it. This is just from CNN. Caitlin Collins here. Again, just a general recap in case anybody hasn't been aware.
More than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images. CNN teams are carefully sifting through the largest, and what the Justice Department says is the last, batch of Jeffrey Epstein files. It's an enormous trove of documents, and it includes references.
And again, as you just heard, the last trove, we also have, I believe Aaron Rupar put out not that long ago, maybe an hour or so ago, a little over an hour, this on Twitter, where he said the DOJ is now taking down files that I emailed over to their tip line that they've failed to properly redact. I have saved the files on my computer in case the DOJ just decides to wipe them completely. So again, doesn't seem to me like all of this information is being freely released. I mean, we already know that they're way past the December 19th deadline. We all know that they failed to, you know, initiate the reasoning as to why and what they redacted and how it fit into the law and what they were stipulated that they, you know, were lawfully, you know, required or allowed to redact at least. So this is something, not only that, but you'll hear Todd Blanche talk about another set of documents that he still has to wait on somebody's kind of confirmation, a judge's confirmation on whether or not it can be released. So again, we'll get into that. I want to get ahead of ourselves, but to suggest that there's just nothing else to be done here, nothing else to be released is just false right off the bat. So I just want to make that plain and clear. All right, let's go back.
Some of the richest and most powerful people on the planet. That includes the current president, a former president, cabinet secretaries, a former prime minister, billionaires, and the list goes on and on and on. The Justice Department says tonight that its job is done.
We complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think that.
Well, I don't know, because you guys got pretty scared when people started finding out all of this fucking salacious material about Trump. It seems like some of it disappeared from the internet for some time, but then you found out that, you know, the internet's forever and it was already out there and people had it. So it just made you guys look even worse that you took it down. So it was eventually put back up. You know what I mean? So to suggest, and again, Donald Trump's trying to make it seem like I mean, I've never heard anything more ridiculous. Excuse me, I'm exhausted, so if I get some words mixed up tonight, forgive me. But I've never heard anything more ridiculous than, again, the information that you'll hear from some of these fucking files being released on Donald Trump and about Donald Trump specifically, and then to go on to hear Donald Trump say that this completely exonerates him because of something that Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein were talking about, is just the most horrendously fucking blatant fucking disregard for reality that I've seen in quite some time. And shame on whoever asked him the question and didn't follow up with, I can't believe you just fucking let those words come out of your mouth, Mr. President. Because it's beyond the pale in so many different ways. It's insane. It is. It's insane.
A hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents.
Oh, it was fucking satisfied to an extent that I don't think you saw coming. And again, to think that Todd Blanche has seen and knew the extent of all of the information being released in the 3.5 million documents is absurd. So based on, I don't know, I'm assuming information that he was told by whatever, the conglomerate of people going through the files. And, he felt confident enough to say this. And it was just, the people that were actually tasked in going through the files and redacting shit and taking out Donald Trump's name that failed to, see these files that we'll be talking about and many more, I'm sure, that will be found. And they're making Todd look bad. I don't know what the extent is, but how he could possibly say that, like, the thirst and like the things that we're looking for to kind of involve, or the evidence that of Donald Trump's involvement weren't found in this latest release is insane. Again, the word insane is going to come up a lot in this, and that's just about the only word I could use to describe this. Everybody has to be completely and utterly fucking insane to say the things that they're saying, knowing the information that came out. And again, where do we go from here? Because I completely understand, and this is a question that I'll be asking a lot. Where do we go from here? Because I don't want this theatrical bullshit of just having this fucking information out there to stare us back in the face while we see nobody held accountable, nobody perp walked, and nobody in cuffs. That will be fucking too much to bear. And if it's too much to bear for us, God only knows how the fucking victims in this case will feel, knowing that these monsters are still out there and the information's out there and they're still fucking, helpless. They're still fucking, the hands are tied behind their back still on getting these people fucking, the justice that they so deserve. And it's a question that has to be asked. I understand the emails, right? And a lot of the under oath testimony, right? We can take that for what it says. We don't really need anything more on that. The emails speak for themselves. The court testimony under oath speaks for itself. But as far as the tip lines and the hotline information, right? Now, again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself on this, but it pisses me off so much that Todd Blanche is going to go ahead and say that, like, a lot of the reporting and the allegations were second and third party, and it's impossible to be able to investigate that. Well, how the fuck is it impossible to investigate that? You go to the first party that supposedly said it. You say, hey, did you say this? And then then you go to the second party. That's how you go from first, second, third person information and figure out and corroborate and confirm or deny if that actually happened. To say that's impossible is insane. Again, I'm sorry with the redundancy of the word of being used tonight of insane, but again, I don't know. You'd have to be willfully ignorant, obtuse. You don't have zero morals. Don't care about what your children are going to face in the future. Don't care about what your family's going to think about you in the future. Like, all of this stuff has to be true in order. Like, you have to be so corrupt and so fucking beholden to the system, to Donald Trump's fucking system, to put yourself in these positions that Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, even Dan Bongino saw the fucking writing on the wall and said, I'm beating feet, right? Like, I've taken enough fire. I've taken enough heat in this already. I can see what's coming down the pipeline, and it ain't going to be fucking good. Whether it's now, 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, these people are definitely going to be looked upon by in historical reference as people that were protecting pedophiles. That's just the period, point blank. You were up there not only defending, but protecting pedophiles in the world's largest and most well-known child sex trafficking ring in, I don't know, history. You know what I mean? It's fucking, it's ridiculous. All right, let me throw this back on. My apologies. Let me throw this back on here.
Should note that just because someone is mentioned in these documents does not mean that they've been accused of wrongdoing or did anything wrong. Many of these claims are
Yeah, well, fuck off. I'm not sitting here for CNN's little fucking, little points that they have to put in here. All right, let's dive on to, again, some of the things that we have been found. And again, a lot of these things, and it's like, how do we go and take the next step in corroborating the tips, the hotline allegations, the things that the DOJ say that they're unwilling at this point to further investigate? How like, what happens now? That's what the fuck I want to know. Because it's going to be just like I said with the limo driver, just like I said with the I'm blanking on his name right now, Sasha. Just like I said with those things. Do I know if it's real? I don't know, but I am fucking asking the questions and saying, hey, it sounds to me like at least enough information is known and kind of, lines up with what we do know, that it should be further investigated. We should, pour a lot of resources into this and explore this to every fucking end, to through every avenue that we possibly can until it's 100% confirmed or 100% denied. Right. And that's what we need now with the tips, with the hotline allegations. Right, which are seemingly some of the more, egregious and salacious and sickening allegations and crimes that are being depicted. Some of them were coming over the hotlines, the allegation lines, the tip lines, those things. So it's like, how do we go about taking that next step if the DOJ is unwilling, and confirming this to a point where we can now take this and say, okay, we have irrefutable evidence. We have now talked to this person, and this person. They've confirmed this. We have photographic evidence to confirm this, the dates, the times, the planes, the islands, whatever it is for this specific person. And that could lead to their fucking jail sentence. That could lead to their arrest, right? Like, when do we get to that point? Because, again, we're not here to see, fucking 5 million papers. We didn't do this because we hate trees and we wanted to see fucking half the planet's forest cut down in order to release the Epstein files. No, we want to see fucking justice. We want to see accountability. We want to see these motherfuckers perp walked. We want to see them in handcuffs, and we want to see them have a fucking really rough time in prison for the rest of their lives. That's what I want to see, speaking for myself. You know what I mean? And it becomes even more apparent when you see shit like this and you read allegations and fucking things like this, because this is posted by Prem Thakur. Let me make this a little bigger on the screen here. And he says, troubling allegations against Donald Trump in the latest Epstein files drop. And again, trigger warning, viewer discretion advised. I will try to fly through it. I will do my best to reword it in a way where not only you two, but people in the chat can get the gist of what happened while not kind of reliving any bad experiences you may or may not have had. I'm trying to be pretty cognizant of how different people react to this information and not just myself. So the allegations appear to come from an FBI tip line, right? So again, how do we go about this? Is not something, and we have to be, we have to live in reality. This is not something that's confirmed. We can't look at this as 100% confirmed, right? Like we have to, there's more work that needs to be done before we have that smoking gun. And I want that fucking smoking gun. So let's not, this is, of course, explosive fucking allegations. Of course, it's explosive the fact that it's named. Of course, it's explosive the fact that it's this detailed, and explicit, obviously. But there is that next step that is involved, that it's necessarily to be taken in order to see the end goal that we all want. And it's unfortunate that it doesn't look like, according to fucking Todd Blanche, and especially as Donald Trump, or while Donald Trump is in office. Sorry. Let me shut this down. My apologies. I hit it with my ear thing. But, as long as Donald Trump's in office, it just doesn't seem like we're going to get that next step is what I'm trying to get across. But let's go back to this one. And again, go back to the picture here. And this is, I'm just going to read it out. Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called, quote unquote, calendar girls, right? Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. So we've now entered the realm, in just one sentence in those allegations, right? We've now entered the realm where the Epstein files are so fucking disgusting. They're so much worse than even we could possibly have fathomed, that we now have almost the entire fucking plot to the movie Taken coming out of the Epstein files. auctions. I mean, you remember the plot where they all sat in the fucking back room, and the girls would be brought in, the children would be fucking brought in, and there'd be fucking people would be bidding on them. Like that's what's basically taking place. And don't think for a second that fucking whoever was there weren't like a an apoplectic father or mother, just like Liam Neeson was playing, that weren't out there trying desperately to get their fucking children back. So that's where we are. Like, we're at that point where the fucking plot for the movie Taken is now not just a movie. It's now something that we've seen actively come out of the allegations of from the Epstein files, right? It's unbelievable. It really is fucking unbelievable. And it's again, it's so believable and unbelievable at the same time. Right. So it's like, you talk about the people that are involved, you talk about what we know about the people, and it's not surprising. It's just even the grossest material in this isn't surprising, but at the same time, it is surprising. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain in that regard, but I think you guys understand. So basically, he measured the children's private areas by entering a digit. Okay, I'm trying my best here. And he would rate the children based on that experience, again, without getting too graphic. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Don Jr., Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms, forced to give fellatio to Donald Trump, forced to allow them to sexually assault them. I was 13 years old when Donald Trump raped me. Was also president. Caller reported that in 1987, a friend, victim one, was out drinking and ended up at Trump Plaza. Victim one saw Donald Trump and wanted to meet him. An unknown man approached her and offered to introduce her to Trump. The unknown man gave victim one a drink, and victim one woke up naked with naked and sore with $300 on the bed. Victim one didn't remember how she got to the room. She remembered seeing a, quote, flash of Trump's face. Victim one called the caller and told her she thought she had been raped. Victim one did not go to a hospital to have a rape kit performed because she didn't think anyone would believe her, especially because she was drunk. Victim one's husband's business had problems with the supplier, and victim one believed Trump was behind it. Victim one also stated dating a lawyer, identifiers unknown, who was married. Victim one also had a fight with her lawyer boyfriend and went to a bar. Victim one left a bar with the man who no one in the bar recognized, but who seemed familiar with victim one. Victim one was never seen again. A few years ago, remains were discovered that matched the description of victim one was wearing when she was missing. DNA tests at the time were inconclusive. Complaint follow-up. After a call with the NYPD officers regarding her previous tip, reporting that she was forced to perform sex acts when she was 13 and pregnant in 1984. Complaint also reported that there were high-profile individuals involved in her sex trafficking and the murder and disposal of her newborn daughter. Fucking hell. Complaint reported Donald Trump participated regularly in paying money to force her to perform sex acts with him, and alleged Trump was present when her uncle murdered the newborn child. I told you. I told you. Blank reported an unidentified female who was forced to perform fellatio on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing the fellatio. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she had also was also abused by Epstein. And again, this is just like an example of something that was kind of right off the bat jumped off the page at people that were digging through these. To say that this is the only one of these would be an absolute lie. To say that, there aren't even more of these that are out there to be found that are maybe even more egregious. I'm sure that, at this very moment right now, people are still digging through this. So there's going to be a lot more to come, but, just to kind of fill everybody in, get everybody up to speed. Sorry, it's just tough. It really is tough. So again, another example before we dive on to, again, some of the people in there like Elon Musk and his involvement in this. This was another, and this is again another complaint summary. So again, another instance in which there's another step in this that we still need to take that the DOJ seemingly is unwilling to take, right? So again, this is blank reported and unidentified female. Oh, that's the one we just read that one. My apologies on that one. So, and then she reported as a friend who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 until 1991 and 1992. This friend shared names of some of the guests at Epstein's parties to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. At age 16, while modeling, Caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Caller and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin raped her and the best friend and the third brother, Tal, excuse me, it's a little small, raped a 14-year-old girl named Blank, redacted. Caller named other individuals involved in a, quote, big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Online complaint reported she was a victim of witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 95 and 96. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for the sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump. Complainant reported was participated in orgies and that some girls went missing, rumored to have murdered and buried at the facility. Complainant reported being threatened by Trump's then head of security, that if she ever talked and went there and said who was there or what she saw, he would end up as fertilizer for the back 9 holes like the other C words. Complaint claims to have video of high-profile sex parties, dealings with cartels, and having witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl to death at a party. So, again, you can see some of the early things to be spotted and kind of picked apart in the latest release of this, and just how just gross and sickening and just also in line with what we thought, right? So it's, again, these 2 alternate universes that we're living in at this point, where it's like, just as a human being, as somebody with a soul and a brain and, principles and beliefs, to hear this is just, again, it'll make you emotional. It really will. And again, I can't even fathom or even think for a second, put myself in somebody's shoes that has experienced, sexual assault at an early age, or at any age for that matter. So. But yeah, it's like 2 alternate universes. Like, it's right up with what we would think these people are capable of, but at the same time being like, how are human beings capable of this? Sorry. So, but as to the involvement of other people as well. Second. Fuck, huh? All right. Anyway, so, but yeah, here's just, again, just some other tidbits, some other pieces to come out of this, of some people that you would definitely, expect to be named in these, not only Donald Trump, the rest of these fucking psychotic, sick bastards that were a part of this, but Elon Musk, obviously highly profiled in the latest release, at least from, the documents that have been gone over so far, spotted, or whatever you want to call it so far. And again, from the time where he's asking Jeffrey Epstein, what's the best time for the wildest party, to saying he and Tallulah here, as you can see on screen, what day and night will be the wildest party on the island. So again, for Elon Musk to say, what he came out with, and again, paraphrasing something like, discussed going there and didn't, whatever the fuck it was. You can see here how many people. This is Jeffrey Epstein to Elon Musk on Saturday, November 24th, 2012 at 9:40 a.m. How many people will you be for the heli to the island? So how many do you need? How many spaces do you need for the helicopter ride to the island so that he could be prepared to have that? And then the response from Elon Musk on my birthday, on my birthday in 2012 at 12:36 a.m., probably just Tallulah and me. What day night will be the wildest party on our island? Now, one would basically have to assume that not only do you know about the island at that point, but you know what takes place on the island at that point, right? And this shows clear intent to be, physically present at the wildest night on that island. So again, you don't need a lot of the emails. I feel like there's not much that you need in that. Like, they're pretty fucking self-evident as to what they're discussing, the people that they're talking about, the language that they're using, the little coded fucking words that they think they're getting across, but are really fucking blatant, right? And obvious to everybody. The cryptic messages that we've seen in some of the emails being released. Like, a lot of them, it's just self-evident to me, along with, again, the court. I think we have one here. Let me see if I can find this. Was it my apologies, let me see if I can. Was it this one that I pulled up? The review is over. I had one pulled up of, let me see if it was this one, of something posted to Twitter where it had come from an actual, under oath testimony, an actual court filing from somebody giving their, their testimony under oath. Like, that's another example. I'm not sure where it went. I apologize. But that's another example of something that, I feel like you can take to the fucking bank already. So any of the information that stems from, witness testimony, victim testimony under oath, I'm taking that to the bank. If I'm anything that the victims are saying, anything that the fucking witnesses of the victims, the friends of the victim, I'm fucking believing them. And until it's proven, until you can prove your innocence, you're fucking guilty as charged. Or as not charged, as unfortunate as it is to say in this instance. But that's just how I feel. Like, anything that the victims are saying, this is 100% fucking on point, 100% true, factual, until, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, or anybody else can fucking prove it wrong. That's just period, point blank, what's going on. I'm not believing the sickos, the monsters, until, the evidence from the victims has to be proven. No, that's not how we're playing that. Homie, don't play that bullshit. I can tell you that much. But I might be able to see it. I might be able to find it. Excuse me as I look around to try to find it. But there was one posted, and I'll see if I can find it as we're digging into a couple of these other clips. But it was just stemming directly from, testimony under oath. And we'll get to that after. But let's go back into this idiot and fucking the some of the shit. And here's another one involving Elon Musk, just to kind of drive the point home a little bit. This one is from Christmas. Yeah, this is a Christmas. Just a reminder, Elon Musk was asking about coming to your island on January 2nd. And this is a year later, right? So this is a year later after the wildest party. What's your wildest party? After, reserving his fucking helo spot, on the private journey to the island. So even if he didn't know then, right, to go there, you should fucking know. And then to a year later be asking again goes to show your involvement, right? Goes to show your complicity. You can't fucking tell us that you didn't know. You can't tell us that it was like, they pulled the wool over your eyes twice and you decided to go back. So any day, you can see here, I believe this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Elon Musk on the bottom there. Any day, 1st to the 8th, play it by ear if you want. Always space for you. I'll see if I can zoom in a little. Oh, fucking Twitter sucks hole. It really sucks hole. Let me see if I can put this. I'll just open this image in a different page, which should be this one. Yeah, then I should be able to zoom in on this. How's that? How's it this? Zoom in a little better at least. That's all I can zoom in? Jesus Christ. We're really struggling here. There we go. Hey. We can do it. All right, here we go. So on Friday, December 13th, 2013, 11:35 p.m., Elon Musk will be in the British Virgin Islands, St. Bart's, over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit? Any day between the 1st and the 8th. Play it by ear if you want. Always space for you, replied Jeffrey. Okay, probably the first then. Jeffrey says the second or third would be perfect. I will come get you. I need to fly back to LA on the night of the second, so W. That's Elon. Actually, I could fly back early on the third. We'll be in St. Bart's. We should. When should we head to your island on the second? That's Elon again. And then again, this was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Jeffrey Epstein's assistant reminding Jeffrey that Elon was asking again about coming to the island on January 2nd. This was date received Christmas. I mean, what better day? I mean, what other day would you expect, right? To be sitting down and like just the pedophile ring known throughout the world to be thinking about their acts of pedophilia, right? I mean, just Christmas Day. Of course, they're thinking about what time they're going to the island. Of course, they're thinking about like what's the wildest. Like it just fits right in line with these fucking people. Not spending time with. Oh, Jesus Christ, these fucking sickos. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And there's, obviously, we can get into the reaction from the people on the left, and we don't, with the rest of the time is just going to be other people's reactions. We're not going to dive into, too much more of the actual details itself. Like I said, as more and more comes out, we'll try to cover it as judiciously as possible to make sure that we're doing it justice and to make sure that we're also respecting the people in the chat and, and everybody else too, because I know a lot of this is going to be triggering for a lot of people. Of course, even myself, as you saw, it hits home when you think about anything that's been released. It really does. So not only do we have Jen and Pumps, but I want to dive into this first. I want to dive into the right-wing reaction, or at least an example of the right-wing reaction, if I can, because, the theme, the running theme that we on the left, I believe, is that like everybody on the right excuses this. Right. And again, we're trying to drill home just how fractured the MAGA base is, just how fractured the Republican kind of the ecosystem, the political ecosystem is right now. And there are absolutely, and the Epstein files being one of the major factors, along with Israel, Charlie Kirk's murder, and affordability, as to the reason for the split up. Right. So we've been doing a good job here, I believe, at Blunt Politics of trying to drill home that and using different examples, whether it's Nate here at Valhalla or, Tim Pool, or whether it's, some of these other channels here that have been. And it's Tim Pool is a bad example. There was who's an example of another channel that we kind of watched that's been going hard. Like the Candace Owens, who's been going in and attacking them, even though she's a scumbag in her own right. Like it's just we're using that as a thermometer to gauge the temperature of the right. That's basically the only use of shows like that. That's in my opinion. But this is titled "The New Files Release is Horrific." And again, this is an America First. We've heard him say out of his own mouth, Nick Fuentes fan, right, or watcher at least, and firearms trainer, ex-Green Beret, the stereotypical person you would think of when you think probably MAGA conservative nowadays, right? Even though he, again, doesn't label himself as a MAGA. I don't know. I'm not sure too much on his history, if he ever did, and he kind of went away from it. But nowadays, he's clearly an America First type. But let's see what he has to say about, the Epstein files release, the latest release, and kind of who's named in it and what it means for them. And is he afraid to call out Trump? Is he unwilling to call out Elon Musk? Well, judging by the photo on your screen right now, not unwilling to call out Elon Musk. I can tell you that. But let's see what happens. I didn't dive into any of this. I wanted to watch it with you guys. So what do you say? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into it.
And yes, that is Elon Musk. Emails to E from Musk himself begging to come to the island in 2013. Uh-oh.
Let me in.
Yes, Elon Musk asked E in an email, what day/night will be the wildest party on your island?
I'm just going to skip through his little intro.
And I'm sure you're all well aware of the biggest story in the news today. Yes, the files are back with a vengeance. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's stop. We'll take it play by play, frame by frame here. What's he showing on the screen? Does this look like, the stereotypical fucking conservative that's trying to make excuses? Trying to cover up the involvement? No, it seems like he's kind of going head first, diving head first into this as far as Trump's involvement, Elon Musk's involvement, Bill Clinton. And as we say, fuck Bill Clinton. I don't give a shit. Right? I hope he and Trump at some point share a fucking cell and we can go in there and just laugh. Like, we'll sell tickets. We can go and sell tickets. It'll be a thing. We could use it to go towards like roads, bridges, railways, whatever the fuck, right? We could just continuously sell tickets, a continuous line of people going and mocking and pointing and spitting and whatever you want to do, you're allowed to do, right? Throw excrement on them, fucking tar and feather these motherfuckers. All of it should be perfectly, you could even spend extra. How about that? We'll do that. That's what you could do. If you want to spend extra for tar and feathers, that'll be how we could build new bridges and we could build high-speed fucking rail. We could maybe get fucking healthcare, proper healthcare assistance for the people in this country that most need it and can least afford it. Proper housing for veterans, proper housing for the homeless. I would be more than happy to tar and feather that son of a bitch multiple times in order to draw up a little funding for some of these great things that we want on the left, right? That just, to me, would be great. Like, I don't know, what could we do? We could do, what are those, like, the snap poppers? Those little snap poppers that you throw? Remember in the old days, you could throw them and they'd spot, they fucking bang a little bit. Maybe we could sell extra. You pay an extra $5, like an extra $10. You get a bunch of those and you could throw them on fucking Clinton and the rest of these fucks, right? And just fucking snap pop them all, right? Until they're like all covered in little black marks and they can't take it anymore. What else could we do? Like, we could have like a blowfish, right? That would be like extra. We could make it like skins on a video game, right? Like the more you pay, the better fucking it gets. Like you get a blowfish and you could stick them, right? Get a scorpion and, you get to poke them. Something like I'm just thinking outside the box. And we'll, hopefully use some of the billions that Donald Trump has stolen again to go towards some of these resources. And not only that, maybe we could set aside a little bit and develop a drug where we can keep these sons of bitches alive for eternity, right? To just continue, just for eternity, these sons of bitches just stay alive, and we could just continuously do this for eternity. Everybody that gets born and reborn into the United States can just have their moment. We could be 1,000 years down the line and people still spitting and shitting on Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. What do we say? Anybody? Let me know. Let me know what you think. All right, let me put this back on.
The Department of Justice yesterday put out another massive drop of the e-files. Try not to use that name because it turns out Google, Meta, TikTok, and all the social media platforms are trying to limit and censor this story. Wonder why.
Now, I haven't seen any of that on YouTube thus far. Has anybody noticed or heard any content creators mentioning that on YouTube? Like, I know TikTok is fucking like it's ciao, it's bye-bye, it's fucking sayonara. You know what I mean? It's a goner at this point because it's just, it's not even a real platform. It's not even a usable platform at that point, which is, it's saddening. It really is for somebody that built the biggest following that I have as far as, followers and people that watch on TikTok. It's a big waste of a lot of people that want to get the news and information because, it's just been, again, without going too deeply into it, just become completely unusable. Your videos aren't getting out there. Nobody, TikTok is saying that they're violating guidelines that they don't fucking even remotely come close to violating. So a lot of times they don't give you specific reasoning. It's a whole shit show. It was honestly, right hand up, I liked it better when the Chinese owned it. That's just whatever it's for whatever it's worth. It was much better before the fucking U.S. morons and Donald Trump's friends got their hand on it. I can tell you that much. As bad as it was. As bad as it was.
Don't know. So we're going to try to work around the algorithm the best we can. And who's implicated this time in the new files release? Well, yes, the usual suspects, of course, Trump, Gates, Clinton. But we've got some new characters to the PDF roster that just popped up. And Elon Musk, George H.W. Bush. Pretty wild stuff. And I got to tell you guys, the new files are absolutely disgusting. So trigger warning as we work our way through these documents. And we're going to talk about each person that's implicated. Trump, Gates, Clinton, H.W. Bush.
Well, there's a name that doesn't surprise anybody that you'd hear in the fucking Epstein files. Matt Gates. Who would have thought that was coming? Who could have seen that one coming? I'm not sure. Anybody could have seen that one.
And a bunch of other people. They're having a real bad day today. So that's what we're going to talk about in the video today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
And again, this stems from, let me see if I can find this post too, because he kind of goes into a little bit of what we discussed as far as those explosive emails and, allegations about Donald Trump. So there's no need to double dip on that. But there was this, somebody had put out a pretty extensive list kind of detailing some of the names that were mentioned. Let me see if I can find this real quick here. Let's put that on the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. And again, there's multiple videos, pictures. Of course, I'm sure you've probably seen that video of Epstein chasing the children around the island in the kitchen. I mean, it's just there's a lot. It's a lot to take in. There's a lot still to come. I mean, just in all regards, it's a lot. Let me see. Just give me a second, because there was here we go. Here we go. This is the one I was looking at. So this is just, let me see if I can zoom in just a touch so you guys can see this a little bit better. How's that? So just names referenced in the Epstein files: Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Michael Jackson, Bill Gates, Leonardo DiCaprio, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew, Cameron Diaz, Bruce Willis, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Mick Jagger, George Lucas, Tony Blair, Mohammed bin Salman, John Kerry, Ted Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Michael Bloomberg, Woody Allen, Alan Dershowitz, Ghislaine Maxwell, Andrew Cuomo, Phil Collins, Larry Summers, Ehud Barak, Chris Tucker, Les Wexner, Leon Black, Glenn Dublin, Jean-Luc Brunel, Peter Mandelson, Lynn Rothschild, Hamad bin Jassim, Abdullah bin Saeed, Saad Hariri, Ahmed Abul Gait, Miguel Angel Maratinos, Mini Driver, Peter Dalgalish, Taib Fasi Fahiri, Khalid bin Ahmad Al Khalifa, Makhdoom Shah Mahmoud, and Henry Odain Anjumogobia. Excuse me. Fuck that one up, but what do you want me to do? I think I got the rest of them right. So again, this is probably just some of them. I'm sure you're only allowed so many characters, and of course here's a kind of a roundup, a compilation, if you will, of some of the people and the names and their faces involved in it. So obviously as widespread as we believed. I mean, I think that just kind of confirms that. I don't think it really is a surprise to anybody just how widespread it is and just how many high profile rich individuals. I think that was always the assumption of this. But again, what is next? Because to have a list like this, to have the information and the allegations and the emails and all of the court filings and the documents that we've seen, and then to then do what with it? To sit on it, to do nothing? Looks like that's exactly what Todd Blanche and Donald Trump's Justice Department of Justice, and the rest of these assholes are going to do. You know what I mean? It's gross. And, we don't have to dive into too much of this because again, he just kind of goes through a few more of the emails that we went through, the Robin Leach involvement and other things. So again, without throwing too much at you all in one night, in one shot, I say we kind of, we'll take it for what it's worth and what we got out of the first couple minutes of this, and which is, not being afraid to call out Elon Musk, not being afraid to call out Donald Trump and the rest of these people, and just, recognizing just how bad this is. And again, I'm sure he asked a similar question: where do we go from here? Because if you listen to Todd Blanche, let's just play one of his, I'll play one of his clips here for you. This is one where he just says, quote unquote, the review is over, right? Let's see if we can play this for you, and then we'll get his. On Friday's shut up! You play when I fucking tell you to play. All right. So this is again Todd Blanche on with ABC in This Week, talking about how the review is over. They're now the Department of Review. They're not the Department of Justice. They're only there to review files, waste ink, and fucking the rest of it. You know what I mean? Chop down trees and waste paper. Check this out.
Your release on Friday has already received a response from the victims, from Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I want to show the statement right now. It says survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the men who abuse us remain hidden and protected. This is outrageous. The Justice Department cannot claim it is finishing releasing files until every legally required document is released and every abuser and enabler is fully exposed. Will there be more releases?
I mean, look, first of all, we took great pains, as I explained on Friday.
Just in every fucking moment, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's Renee Nicole Good, whether it's Alex Preddy, whether it's, the other, egregious actions from ICE, whether we're talking about the Epstein files, whether we're talking about Greenland, whether we're talking about NATO, whether we're talking about Ukraine or Russia or Mexico or Colombia or China or Taiwan, they're just unwilling at any point to answer a direct question. And again, I know this is something that, you know, has aggravated regular people about politicians for quite some time, but they've taken this to a whole new level of just obfuscating, talk about anything other than what you're being asked about, you know, pull this in any direction you possibly can to turn it into some sort of positive sign, positive showing. And you know, it's infuriating. And again, the lack of pushback, the lack of determination by the journalists and the reporters to stick to their guns and get an answer to the question that they determined was important enough for them to fucking write down and ask on national television, but then to just breeze over it when they are repeatedly kind of roadblocked. And again, if you are roadblocked as a journalist or a reporter, make light of the fact that you're not answering that question or they're not answering that question, right? Make it clear to the people watching that you've asked a very direct question and you failed to get a direct answer from these people. If that's what's going to take place. And again, I don't know if he asked him again in this interview, in this little segment here, but he should press on this instance. You know, is there going to be more releases is a very specific question, which you didn't answer.
Make sure that we protected victims. We are talking about a review of 3.5 million pieces of paper that were released on Friday. Every time we hear from a victim or their lawyer that they believe that their name was not properly redacted, we immediately rectify that. And
why was not more care taken to begin with then? Why was the care put on the side of the monsters and the criminals in this and not on the side of the victims or the witnesses? It's pretty clear. We've seen a pretty clear through line throughout all these releases that in almost every single case, if I'm not mistaken, a victim's identity, a victim's picture, a victim's anything that shouldn't have been released or should have been redacted wasn't. And something that shouldn't have been redacted of, a criminal's fucking face or, you know, a setting that would reveal, a criminal's involvement was redacted. So it's pretty clear that that's been a through line that you were absolutely taking more care to absolve Donald Trump and these fucking people of any crimes or wrongdoing by redacting their faces and then using the law that Donald Trump signed as justification to fucking redact everybody's faces while lying about that, while missing the deadlines at the same time, then nobody's going to fucking believe a word. No, why would anybody? I mean, again, not to say that anybody would believe a word they have to say, but it just makes it all that more clear that you're in this specifically to inhibit the investigations, inhibit justice, inhibit accountability, as opposed to seeking it.
Numbers we're talking about, just so the American people understand, we're talking about 0.001% of all the materials. And so
the fuck, who cares? What is that number? Because I'm sorry, but 0.001% of 5 million documents or more, whatever the total number of documents is on the release, is a substantial amount of people or a substantial amount of fucking documents that went out with information of victims that should not have gone out ever. Not once. This isn't, oh, hey, we'll throw these all out there. You call us on our fucking mistakes and we'll take them all down. No, you're supposed to have the professionalism and do your due diligence and have the fucking people under your direction and leadership to do this in a professional manner. And that absolutely wasn't the fucking case. And he throws it back on the American people again in his next little spot that he has, because he was on with Dana Bash as well. Let me throw this back on here because, you know, he's throwing it back on the people. He says something like, hey, you know, we released the 300 fucking, you know, the 3 million files. And if, you know, the people can take a look at it. And if they say we're wrong somewhere, then we'll take, well, it's not up to us. I mean, it is now, but it shouldn't be left up to the American people to sift through all of these files and determine where the DOJ fucked up and where a prosecution should lay and where an investigation should happen to take place. But that's exactly what he's trying to throw back on the American people now. Listen to this bullshit, right?
Well, look, I can't talk about any investigation.
I'll play it from the beginning.
Wrote, quote, "What matters is not the release of some subset of Epstein files, but rather the prosecution of those who committed heinous crimes with Epstein. When there is at least one arrest, some justice will have been done. If not, this is all performative."
And again, rich coming from somebody that had just been fucking named and released emails of you know, transactions and correspondence going between him and Jeffrey Epstein about going to the wildest party on his island. Just strange thing to be putting out there. But again, if you're not trying to, you know, show everybody and lie to everybody about your innocence, then what are you really trying?
Nothing but a distraction. Is the Department of Justice considering bringing any additional charges here?
Well, look, I can't talk about any investigations, but I will say the following, which is that in July, the Department of Justice said that we had reviewed.
And again, it wouldn't involve you speaking directly about anything on ongoing investigations. You wouldn't have to bring up any details. You wouldn't have to bring up any names, any facts, any figures, any dates, any times, anywhere to say, yes, that we are actively seeking more prosecutions. Yes, there is more to come from this. You will absolutely be seeing somebody fucking perp walked into prison. Like that doesn't give away any of the investigatory work that's being done behind the scenes. So he's using that as a crutch. He's using that as an off ramp in order to get out of answering the questions about further prosecutions.
Files, the quote Epstein files, and there was nothing in there that allowed us to prosecute anybody. We then released over 3.5.
There was nothing in there that allowed us to prosecute anybody. I'm pretty sure that in DOJ's own findings, there was absolutely enough evidence, absolutely enough corroboration, absolutely enough witness testimony to seek prosecution of people. But for, again, one reason or another, it either didn't happen, deals were made behind the scenes, something happened. So why couldn't that be picked up now after looking at it, after going through and reviewing all these? Again, the Department of Justice, not the Department of fucking reviewing. It's just so infuriating.
Piece of paper, which the entire world can look at now and see if we got it wrong. And so it's not performative, and I respectfully disagree with that statement. We were ordered to do so by Congress and then by the President of the United States, and that's what we did. And
wrote, quote, what matters.
Yes, but again, it's performative if nothing comes from it. Your job was not just the review and release. Your job is the review, release, and prosecution of the fucking criminals involved. And again, you're just totally negating. You're totally fucking not doing one huge piece, the biggest piece of this whole puzzle of your job is just that. Let me see if I can find because there was another one here that was showing an actual court filing. I just want to show that as evidence of something that we can obviously take to the bank as being something that we don't need another step. We don't need another, part of this in order to corroborate. Let me see. I had gone through a bunch of them, so I might not be able to find it in time here. Is this it? Epstein files, constant crimes about all mentioned on Mueller? No. I'll probably have to find. I'll see if I can find it for next show, and we'll pull it up again just to kind of go through all of it and to say, okay, this is what we don't need another step on. This is what we do need another step on. This is what we already know, and we shouldn't even need anything else. Oh, here's one from a picture going around from Prince Andrew where he's over clearly. Because of the redacted face, one could credibly assume an underage girl on the floor in a compromising position. So his name's been brought back up in the spotlight once again. I mean, again, a lot of these pictures just too much to go through. We know, I think one can kind of get it as far as the horrendousness, the salaciousness, the just downright atrocities that were committed. And at this point, we're down to focusing on prosecutions. We're down to focusing on who's going to be fucking locked up and in prison for this shit, as opposed to, all right, how far did this go? I think we've seen it that it went far enough to a point where everybody in this should pay the ultimate price, in my opinion. And again, let's just go on to some of the left-wing reaction. And again, this was Jen and Pumps. I think they went live a little bit before I went on, and it seems that the title is Trump's Dark Past Comes Out in New Epstein Documents. And I just want to see again if we could dive into this and see if they came out with anything new or explosive that hadn't already been talked about. Because again, as people dive through these ridiculous amounts of documents, there's going to be more and more come out pretty much by the minute, on the minute. So let's see if we can dive into a little bit of this. And then maybe I'll get you out of here a little early tonight because I'm exhausted. I get a headache, and we'll see if we can, spare you guys the heartache, so to speak. So let's dive into this.
Welcome Sunday Live, guys. We had to break out of our no filming on Sunday rule to talk about the weird shit coming out of the Epstein files and really disturbing stuff. Okay, put this up. This one is pretty damning, in my opinion. So there's a lot of stuff that was
this one right here. So maybe this is what I was thinking of. because this is the one that I was posted. Ruben Gallego posted it. I couldn't remember it. He said, this is sworn testimony under oath. The DOJ needs to answer for it. The American people deserve to know whether their president threatened a girl and her family into silence to cover up abuse. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. This is posted by Brian Allen. A witness swore under penalty of perjury that Donald Trump threatened a young girl, warning she could disappear like another 12-year-old girl, and said he could have her whole family killed per Epstein-related court records. So again, this is something that is a lot different than the hotlines or the tip lines, right? So I want to make it pretty clear.
Tip line stuff. This is under oath testimony. Ruben Gallego says this is sworn testimony under oath. The DOJ needs to answer for it. The American people deserve to know whether their president threatened a young girl and her family into silence to cover up. And here is what the affidavit says that she signed under oath. I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like the 12-year-old female, name redaction, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. And she signed this under penalty of perjury. So this is wild. I mean, we've all known that this man has been accused of sexual assault multiple times. He's an adjudicated rapist. Jeffrey Epstein is his best friend. And here's what everybody has to remember. They're saving the worst stuff for last, to either disappear it, redact it more, mess with it. So, pumps.
And I saw Todd Blanche, who is the deputy assistant U.S. attorney. And he's like, when specifically asked about, did you investigate Trump? He goes on, well, there's not any, just those weren't credible. Yes, we did, but they weren't credible. It was just tip line. You couldn't follow up. They didn't have enough information. This is a sworn document under oath. Does it surprise me that Trump told this person this? No. Does it surprise me that he would follow through with it? No. Does it surprise me that his DOJ is sitting there lying about it? No, none of this is exactly who he is. This is who he's always been. He is a bully who thinks that rules do not apply to him. And so far, we are seeing in Trump 2.0 laws, rules, all of the things that guardrails that we thought were hopeful anyway, that would keep this corrupt monster in check, are not there. He is.
Well, that's because he learned, as we've been saying here on the show, from his first administration, and who he needed to put in what positions to make sure that he could control, to make sure that he could make sure that, nobody could come against him. Nobody could combat him. Nobody could say no. He had all the yes men in the correct positions, and all the people that he knew, whether it was in the DOJ, the FBI, Homeland Security, whatever it is. Like, he knew that he would have the right person in there to make sure that, if he wanted things to go away, they'd go away. If he wanted things to come to light, they would come to light. If he wanted things to be lied about, they would lie for them, right? So hey, what's going on, Everett? What's up, buddy? Yeah, I like them too. I don't know what we're going to do from here on out. I thought this whole thing has kind of really made me sick. From start to finish, the involvement of these people, the fact that they're still walking freely amongst us, the fact that it's clear that the DOJ and everybody else isn't going to follow through on what they should be following through on as far as, seeking accountability and justice is really pretty infuriating, obviously, to say the least. And it's, I know it can be disheartening, but we need to keep fucking making sure that we're bringing light and awareness to all of this. I mean, like I said, more and more information is going to come out, again, by the second, if not, quicker, because of the amount of people sifting through this and the amount of documents needing to be sifted through is pretty remarkable, to say the least. So as more comes out, obviously we'll do our best to kind of cover it. Let's see. Was there one more part? We'll go back into that. I just want to see. I think I missed a part on this that I wanted to see, where he kind of dumps it back on us, that I wanted to cover.
Is not the release of some subset of
let's do this one.
Files, but rather the prosecution of those who committed.
Oh, no. My apologies. It was, I think, this one. Yes, here we go. Sorry, it was this other one.
And we knew this. I said this on Friday, that of course the nature of this type of review was the volume of materials that were reviewed, that there would be times when this happened. And so we're working hard to make sure that we fix that. And I expect that will continue.
Will more documents be released?
we have released, there are a small number of documents, as I said on Friday, that we're waiting for a judge to say we're allowed to release because of a protective order. But this review is over. I mean, we reviewed over 6 million pieces of paper.
And again, that's him, turning the Department of Justice into the Department of Review, which is it's ridiculous. But I think I'm going to bow out, my friends. I do apologize, but I'm not feeling all that great. I got a splitting headache coming on here, and again, the material that we're going to have to cover here isn't really conducive to any of that while you're feeling like shit. So, I'm going to kind of bow out here if I can. I do apologize. I'm going to obviously I'm going to obviously get into thanking some people, but if you'll allow me, the grace of taking, I'm sweating like a stuck pig here too for some reason. Hopefully the guy I sat next to on the plane didn't give me fucking SARS. I'm just kidding. But let's get into thanking some people. You guys have your Sunday night to yourselves. I do apologize, and obviously we'll get back into it during the week until we get back into the flow of things. So let's thank some people. If anybody sent over an old Venmo over there, and then we'll get into the fabulous people here on YouTube, and I'll get you guys out of here because I know a lot of this is disheartening. A lot of this is kind of heavy, to say the least. So let's get into thanking some people. I want to thank Laurie. I want to thank Yakov. I want to thank V Sawyer. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys for everything that you do. Jenny, Faye, all of you guys for chipping in and helping out the show. Making it so that we can continuously do this on a daily basis and make sure that we don't have to charge you guys or give you guys any ads or sell you guys any bullshit. Please remove Todd's face. Yeah, my apologies. Sorry, Grumpy Cat. I don't advise not sleeping at all during a full 24 48-hour period, but it is what it is, and I had a good time. It was definitely worth it. But again, I appreciate your patience and making an effort to come here on a Sunday afternoon a little later than we usually start the show. So I'll do my part here and get you guys out of here a little early. So thank you, Deb. Let's just fly through the people here. Thank you, Deb, for the one gifted membership. Shout out to you. Very much appreciate you. Thank you, JJ, as well. Appreciate you. Right back at it, not only for that one, but for this one as well. Is that what Trump meant by inspecting them? There's so many instances that you could point back to in Donald Trump's history where, now it's all lining up if it didn't before. So I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you again. Another one. I know. I got what you meant. I appreciate you. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you for being a member for 10 months. Shout out to you for the old shout out there. That's why we love you, Brian, showing them out. I know it's tough. I know it's tough for everybody. So I think if we dive through it kind of slowly, but surely, I think it'll be better for everybody else. So thank you, JD, as well, for your 10. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you, Moms. Very much appreciated. This is tough to read this, but they had to go through it. Much love, Brian. Absolutely. And again, I don't for a second even try to put myself in the shoes of not only the victims, but anybody that's been through anything like that. So I hope it didn't come across as such. Thank you, Carol, for your 5 as well. Thank you, Bridget, for being here for 9 months. What's up to you? Right back at you. Thank you, Nancy, as well, for being here for 10 months. Glad you had a great time in Chicago. I certainly did. I very much appreciate you guys. I'll get you guys out of here now, and I will be back for the old Tuesday show. Maybe I'll catch up on some sleep. Who knows? You never know. It's usually when I'm most tired that I can't sleep. That's just weird how that works. But I appreciate you guys. Sorry for all of the, hard to digest content that we're going to have to go through. But, it's the time that we're in. It's the reality that we're in right now. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. And we're going to do our best to, seek justice and accountability for the victims involved. So I appreciate you guys. I'll get you guys out of here. I'll see you Tuesday for the Tuesday show. Very much appreciate all your help and support and, your patience and understanding. So I appreciate your mods. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Thank you for being around for the later show and sticking with me through the time changes as well. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate you. And we'll see you on the normal time for Tuesday. So I'll see you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you.